You are listening to an exclusive interview on Bass Musician Magazine. The interview starts now.
Hey everybody, Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist for Potty Mouth, Ally Einbinder. How you doing, Ally?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Well, there's all kinds of exciting stuff going on with Potty Mouth. We definitely want to talk about that, but just taking a step back, how did you get started in music and on bass?
I have always loved music. I know that sounds really cliche, but punk was a big part of my life, starting when I was a teenager. I went to my first punk show when I was 14. I grew up in Albany, New York, and it was a really small, close-knit punk scene. And so, yeah, I was going to shows all the time. A lot of my friends were in bands. They made it look really easy. I had grown up playing piano and violin, but I never played a rock instrument. And I was just so impressed by how, punk was a way for people to just like start a band, like no problem, like have shows at their friends' houses, put out records, tour the country. It was very appealing to me. So I actually bought my first bass from my ex-boyfriend's little brother. It was like a no-name Ernie Ball Stingray knockoff, but like no logo on it or anything. And I think I spent like $75. And that was the first bass I started to just mess around with. Like I learned like some Ramones songs and read some tabs. But then I think it was my junior year of college, I became friends with this guy in Western Mass, where Potty Mouth started, in Northampton. And he had this idea for a project in his head already, or he had actually already written like dozens of songs, and where he played all the instruments, and he recorded a demo tape of this project he had in mind. It was called Outdates, and he gave me the tape, and he said, if you want to play bass, this is my band, and like you can listen to these songs and learn the bass parts, and we just need a drummer. And so that's kind of how it started. I really learned to play bass in that band. That was my first band. We are a three-piece, and Mark, the guitarist and the singer, he played a 12-string Hagstrom guitar. This is now going off on a tangent, but that's how I got into Hagstrom basses. So
Gotcha.
It was kind of through that band that I learned how to play bass, then I started getting into Hagstrom basses.
And so then following that, you're very much, sounds like kind of self-taught?
Yes. Yeah, self-taught, which, I think has its advantages and disadvantages. I really just learned by playing the songs that I knew and that I liked. So that was kind of limiting me a little bit genre-wise, because, I was playing like a rock music. But then more recently, I actually did start taking lessons. I think that it's never too late to start taking lessons, especially with music, because there's always more you could be learning. There's always more you could be getting better at. And so taking lessons in a more like conventional way has really helped me just kind of expand what I know as a bassist.
Gotcha.
So,
And
yeah.
Potty Mouth, if I'm understanding correctly, is something you guys started while you were in college?
Yeah. So, we're all different ages. Abby, our singer, was actually still in high school when we started.
Wow.
She was just a local person, and Victoria and I went to college together at Smith. That's where we met. And then Abby was just a friend of a friend who lived in the area, went to high school, and we got connected with her through our original guitarist, Phoebe. And then we met Abby, for the first time at our first band practice, which was at my house. So it was like we were meeting for the first time and trying to, write a song together for the first time.
And then from there, you guys have located to LA now?
Yeah, we live in LA. We moved here in 2016.
So hitting on some of the more exciting things, you guys had a recent release, Snafu, March 1st.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tell us about that album.
So Snafu has been a labor of love and patience. It was the album we started working on when we first moved to LA. We recorded it in Burbank with Courtney Ballard. He engineered and produced it. And it's just like a stockpile of some of our favorite songs that we've come up with in the last few years. I say that because there are so many other songs that we've written that haven't been released yet, but Snafu represents like what we've thought were the best.
Along those lines, there's been kind of a recent flood of videos. Started with 22, Liar, Starry Eyes, very creative stuff. I know you're not afraid of animals. Obviously, I watched you holding a snake. So
Yeah. That was my first time actually holding a snake.
it could be a little unnerving, but you couldn't tell. You look very natural with a snake and baby goats and a Welsh Corgi with wheels. So very interesting twist.
Yeah, we love animals. Actually, my cats were in the Starry Eyes music video also.
Gotcha.
The orange and the black cat are my cats, and I think they're right behind me right now.
There you go. And that even takes us to the superhero with Liar. If I'm not mistaken, you were Heatstorm?
Yes. Yeah, that was me. So for that music video, our director, Matt Enlow, came up with the names for the characters and like the general idea. But then we had the idea to match the color palette to the album art. So on the album art, I'm orange. So that's how I became the orange superhero. And Abby's yellow and Victoria's blue. But yeah, our director came up with all those names.
Very, very cool. And the band's going to be touring this month, again, California, kind of more your local area, playing up Snafu, I would imagine.
Yeah, at this point, we'd play everything off of Snafu. We're so excited to finally be able to play those songs live because for a while we just, we weren't playing them because we were like, we have to wait till the record comes out, and now it's out. So
it's always important. I know the bass community has a very strong inclination towards gear and seeing different basses in your different videos. Tell us a little bit about how you get your sound. What gear are you using?
Okay, so for a while now, I think since 2013, I've used a vintage Music Man HD 130 head. I love it for its versatility. It can be used for guitar or bass. I plug into the bass channel, and I mean, that head, I love the tone that I get out of it, and I pair that with two 4x10 cabs. They're both basically the same because they both have the neodymium speakers in them. One's an Avatar 4x10 bass neo cab, and the other is the Fender Bassman 4x10 neo cab. I just have two. I mean, I don't know. I've brought both on tour. I don't really have a preference, but yeah, I always use my Music Man head. And then for the past few years, my primary bass I use is a Fender Pj Bass. I really wanted to get that precision bass sound, but with precision basses, the neck is just so thick, and my hands are small, but also, I had been previously playing Hagstrums where those necks are super skinny. So for fast music where you need to really fly down the neck, I was happy to find the Fender Pj because it has the jazz bass neck. But then it has both P and J bass pickups on it, so you can get either sound out of it. Yeah, so that's the bass I primarily use. In the Liar video, I'm using my red Hagstrom bass mostly because it matched my outfit, but I love that bass. I have that Hagstrom, and then I have another vintage Hagstrom I think it's I forget the model, the H1 something. It was the first one they made in the early to mid 60s, and that I found while on tour once at a vintage store in Knoxville, Tennessee, and that was a true treasure find because I feel like they didn't know what they had, and I think I got it for $325 or something, and they shipped it to me from Knoxville back to my house, so I didn't have to carry it on tour, although I guess it would have been nice to have another bass, but
And string-wise, do you have a preference?
I like the Ernie Ball Super Slinky Cobalt strings. They just have a really bright sound, and for the kind of music Potty Mouth plays, I just like having that cut through.
It sounds like you're going with a really straightforward sound. Are you incorporating any other pedals or any things into your playing?
Yeah, so the pedals I primarily use are the MXR Bass Fuzz Deluxe pedal, and then I have a Boss Bass Overdrive pedal. With Potty Mouth, I mean, even my clean sound, I like to be a little, on the fuzzy side, or, overdriven. So, using those pedals is just kind of trying to enhance that sound. for Potty Mouth songs, you don't really need anything beyond like some overdrive or some fuzz. So I don't like to overcomplicate things with too many pedals.
That sounds like a good approach to it. And looking ahead, what is in store for us coming from Potty Mouth, and are you working on anything of your own?
Well, for Potty Mouth, we're just gonna, the album just came out, so we're just gonna tour around it, keep promoting it for the next year. Hopefully, get to Europe and the UK for the first time pretty soon. And for me personally, I mean, at this point, Potty Mouth takes up like all of my time and my day job that I do to make money. But I don't know. I was recently just thinking about how I really would like to start. I was listening to Wire's album Pink Flag. I was listening to it the whole way through, and I was like, you know what? This is a perfect album. I love how the bass sounds on this album. I want to start a band or be in a band that sounds like this. So I don't know. Maybe that will happen once I have more time.
Time is a limiting factor, but you guys are doing so many things. Again, all the creative efforts with the album, the video, touring. I mean, I'm surprised you get that much done. That's the beauty of youth, that you can go and go and go.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Ally, we appreciate you taking time from your very busy schedule to share with us. Folks, if you want more information, go to pottymouthworld.com.
Yes.
And you can find out what they're up to, if they're going to be in a town near you. If you're in Europe and you're in California or somewhere in between, check them out. Very energetic, dynamic, punk rock. Lots of movement all over, just looking at the videos too. So it looks like it would be a great show to catch. Folks, you've seen her here. Ally Einbinder, coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thanks for bassing out with us here on BassMusicianMagazine.com.